a
doesn't
horse
give you the
handicap
right,
horse,
as a
like
representative
bottomed out so
of
they
the
get their wheels
residents,
over. It's hard.
to walk out.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in a strip or beneath like more cement.
Hi there. Hi, stranger.
How are we?
I wouldn't have known.
Hey, that's Michael. We should ask you. Do you know Michael?
Bossum. Cheryl Tucker.
Here.
Michael Serino. Here. Sarah Valentine. Donna Doxson.
Here.
Christine Murphy.
Here.
Any public comments on agenda items tonight? No? Okay. Any amendments to the agenda? Anyone have amendments they need on the agenda? Nope. Nope. Okay.
Well,
Yes.
I can't make an amendment to the agenda, but there was some direction by the village board last night to,
I can do that.
you're going to do that during your,
Well, so if it's a public comment on an agenda item, well, it has to wait till non-agenda item.
Agenda items.
no, I didn't know if,
And it's just for discussion too, it's not a vote or anything like that.
Okay, so I will write
So you're-
it down
you're
if
gonna-
we have an issue.
okay,
Yeah, I'll bring it up in a non-agenda item.
Okay.
great.
Okay. Do you have a non-agenda item that you're, yes?
No.
Okay,
We just-
just want to make sure that I
just
don't
moved
look you
here.
over.
I just wanted
okay?
to see how you guys run things,
Okay.
so.
Just-
It's not usually like this.
I don't wanna overlook you.
No,
It's
no,
like
I'm just
that
here
you came here,
Happy
we're
to
happy
have
to have you here, that I'm not over, I need somebody to
Approve the
the
minutes.
consent for the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
We need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. We can take a verbal vote. And Paul?
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Any nays? Nope, okay. I believe we need to approve the minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see it on.
something different?
It's worded different, yep. It is item number 4, approval, it's consent.
So the consent agenda is the minutes
Is
approved.
the approval of the minutes? Okay, so the consent agenda was the approval of the minutes, okay. It's just a different thing, okay?
Someone needs to make a motion for that.
We did. They did.
Oh, they did?
I
Oh.
second it.
Oh, we did that already. Sorry.
Okay.
We didn't know what we were,
All right. Gina, give us an update on what's going on in the rec division.
Okay, so there's a couple of items to the recreation report this month. I will give a little bit of a wrap-up on the summer programs. We will give upcoming fall programs and events. And we'll do an aquatics wrap-up as well. Aquatics gets their own section because it's a really big section
Especially this time of year,
for
that's
summer.
understandable.
So, day camp, we'll start with that. We had, I did individuals and families, because everybody always asks that. So we had 57 individuals, 47 families for the youth camp. And then for the early childhood camp, we had 39 individuals and 32 families. Last year in 2022, for the youth camp, we had 76 individuals, which we had 57 this year. And for families, we had 55 families and 47 families this year. So the numbers were higher for youth last year. But for this year, the early childhood was up. We had 39 individuals, 16 individuals last year, 32 families, 16 families last year. So The revenue for this year for camps was $88,107. And last year was $62,508. So there was a significant increase in revenue. So that's exciting. We started a new program called Afternoon Fun for early childhood. Their camp ends at 1 o'clock. And so that was new. 22 individuals, 19 families, $7,982. So that did very well. Summer concerts. We had 10 this year. We had 9 last year. Grand total attendance, 4,600 this year, 2,900 last year. Average attendance per evening, because that's a little bit, because we had 10 this year and only 9 last year. 460 was the average attendance this year. 320 was the average attendance last year. So we had a great turnout for concerts. Super Sensational Saturdays. We had 3 this year, 3 last year. Grand total attendance, 700 this year, 400 last year. And an average attendance of 230 this year, 130 last year. So again, good numbers. Movies in the Park. Had 2 this year, 2 last year. Grand total attendance this year, 180. Grand total last year was 50. Average attendance this year, 90. Average attendance last year, 25. Very simple math problems there. I could do that in my head. Adults and seniors, we had 49 programs and bus trips this year. Last year, we had 38. Participation, well, this is a total participation, not individuals, not families, just total people, which many of them come to all of the programs. 756 this year, 599 last year. This year, this summer, we had to move to the library for birthday bunch and lunch, which normally was on Thursdays, but then had to move to Fridays. But we still got a very nice turnout from that. And in September 14th, which is this Thursday, it moves back to the Iowa Community Center. So it'll move back to Thursdays, and it'll be at the Iowa Community Center. Martial arts, we had 52 participants this year, 40 last year. Revenue this year, $4,960. Last year, $3,649. So that is a snapshot of a wrap-up for summer. Aquatics. Aquatics, the weather hurt us a little this year. It really did. We had, where's my swimmable days? Here we go. This year, we had 65 swimmable days. Last year, we had 86. So that makes a big difference. Now, we did have more days in the season last year because we did change the way we did the schedule this year, where we were not opened Monday through Friday on the weekdays once the kids went back to school. But still, I mean, the summer, the weather hurt us this year. However, our revenue was higher. $98,784. That includes pool passes, admissions, learn to swim, mariners. So it's all of those. That's $98,784. Last year was $96,097. So we did okay revenue-wise. Our numbers for passes were down a little bit. Revenue was down $2,000. But overall, we ended up ahead this year. Staffing levels improved dramatically. Last year we had 21 lifeguards. This year we had 25. That makes a huge difference when you're trying to schedule the pool. We had more ambassadors, cashiers, deck slide, and learn to swim staff. So all across, that and we had an increase this year. We received 2 emails about the schedule this year. We were not open on Labor Day this year. It's the first time in a while. Our last day that we were open was the Sunday before Labor Day. We made that decision because in the summer there's 3 holidays. There's Memorial Day, which is not quite summer yet, but it's our summer season. Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day. The aquatic staff have to work, even though the pool's not open on Memorial Day, but they're training on Memorial Day, so they're working that holiday. We're open on the 4th of July. We thought it would be helpful to our staff, who are going back to school, who had school the day after Labor Day, if we just were not open on that day, and it was helpful. We got a nice crowd the day before on Sunday, almost 400 people, and then the staff was very helpful with taking down for the summer and packing stuff off and putting it away. We have more staff willing to do that when they don't have school the next day, and get more of that done, and I think that helps Brian's crew out a little bit, so they don't have quite as much to do when the pool staff can do it. Upcoming fall programs and events. Brewfest, October 7th. Very excited about that. We've sold 147 tickets so far. We have the fees right now there was a discounted rate through August 8th or 12th. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I want to announce what the fees are now. General admission, if you buy your ticket now, is $50. It goes up $10 on the day of. Gold Pass is $70. Designated driver is $15. So what's the difference between a Gold Pass and general admission? People who buy the Gold Pass option, it's like a VIP option. They get to come in an hour early, just the group of people who have Gold Pass tickets. And so they have an hour to taste all of the craft beers that are there, including special craft beers that are not available to the general public once we open to the general public at 2 o'clock. We have about 15 brewers confirmed as of this point. Our goal is always around 20. 3 food trucks, Spoon Burger, Flavor Frenzy, Hat Trick Barbecue. We have the freezer and the ice that's confirmed. That's a very important part of this because we provide the ice for the craft vendors, the craft beer vendors, to keep their product cold during the event. And we have DJ Carl Sundstrom. He's back this year to play music during the event. We have Halloween happenings, October 20th, 5 to 7. We will have trick-or-treating outside from booth to booth. And then we have entertainment indoors as well. That event is co-sponsored by the Villa Park Lions Club. We have a scarecrow decorating contest. Tuesday, October 24th is the magic day. And last year, everybody decorated their scarecrows at their homes. This year, all of the scarecrows will be on display around Village Hall. So people, when they're driving up and down Ardmore, that main thoroughfare through Villa Park, they'll get to see them. This event is co-sponsored with Villa Park Ace Hardware. Athletics. We have soccer. They started practicing last week. We have 147 participants. Last year we had 108. Soccer games will start, or did start, September 9th. Yes?
Yeah, we just started.
Okay. Women's volleyball. We have 15 teams this year in 3 competition levels, A, B, and C. A being the most competitive. Games will start on September 14th at Jackson Middle School. We have 15 teams this year. We had 13 last year. So we're up a couple teams. And Conquer the Court 3-on-3 Basketball League registration has started. We have 17 registered as of September 11th, and we had 2 people registered last year at the same time. We are also teaming up with the Lombard Park District and offering a 5-on-5 basketball for grades 6 through 8. Preschool. We're doing things a little bit different in preschool. For the first time ever, we're offering an opportunity for children under 3 years old. So we had set up a class for 2s and 2.5-year-olds. We didn't get enough for both of those to run, so we combined them. So this is brand new. So we just started up. The Monday was the first day, so kids are excited. And then we don't have the daycare anymore, but we did come up with a program called the Little Learners Club that kids can register for. There's different STEM programs as well as arts programs. I guess that's STEAM then, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then adults and seniors. Our dog obedience training will resume again in October. We have 4 casino trips planned. Birthday Bunch and Lunch will run once per month, Donut Bingo twice each month, and we do the national days, National Hot Dog Day, National Everything Day, once a month. We have an ice cream social coming up, 2 free Rules of the Road and RTA travel presentations, 3 co-op trips with Oak Brook Park District, 2 destinations in Wisconsin, Apple Holler Orchard, and the Titanic the Musical at the Fireside Theater. And 9 trips have already filled to bus capacity with waitlist this year. So those programs, upcoming fall, we're probably September through October into November with the numbers that I've given you. Questions?
How do you determine how many's at the concerts? How do you get that number?
Someone's in charge of counting.
So somebody actually does count?
Someone's in
people,
charge
or
of
is it-
counting, so I'm
Okay.
assuming that they're actually counting.
Okay. Just curious.
It's sort of, it's challenging to do, but you get to know, like, which sections of the park can hold how many people, and so you can kind of tell by that, because counting every head would be almost,
Impossible. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I wondered. So it's sort of an estimate, sort of counting?
yes,
sort of-
yes,
okay.
I will say it's sort of an estimate and sort of, it's a combination of both.
Just curious on that. And then you said we got more revenue for the swimming, even though we had less days. Do you think the increase in the amount of passes had anything to do with that, or is it just overall
Well-
sales and the way we did it this year was a better way?
The thing with the pools is, last year we sold 454 season passes. This year we sold 398. And the difference in revenue was about 2,000, maybe 2,000, 2,200 or so, 2,400, sorry. So the number of passes, the revenue from passes was down. Same with the multi-use passes, that was down a little bit. Admissions, we had, this is interesting, our admission number was a little bit less than last year, but our dollars were up. So we had $37,460 last year and $40,580 this year. So, and the gate fees did not go up. But this also includes, we have group rates for different camps and so forth, so that could have made a difference in the fees being higher. So those fees were a little bit higher. But Learn to Swim, we had 197 participation last year, 267 this year, and that revenue was up $2,000. So that helped. And then Mariners, we had 2 more Mariners, 107 Mariners this year, we had 105 last year, and that revenue was $11,438, and last year was $10,790. So there's some of those other programs that made a difference.
I was just curious on, you said we had an increase on it, if it really was the increase on the passes, or just that it moved on different things, like the number of days were
It did,
smaller, but we had more participants in other programs that we didn't before, so it all balanced out.
Yes.
Ended up being more. It wasn't because we raised the prices that we ended up having
No.
more revenue. It was just overall, the pricing was good, we just got it in other areas.
We really need warm, sunny, dry
Well,
weather from May 1st to June 21st, because that's where the majority of the pass sales happen during that early bird time.
Unfortunately, you can't predict the weather, and swimming, the pool has to do with the weather and conditions on weather is. And Sue, you probably know more than this. Did the severe heat we have make a difference of people coming out, or did we get more?
I was kind of surprised. I thought we would have more people on those really hot, and we did have more people, but I thought we'd have a lot more. You know, we didn't have as many people as I thought would come. But we seem to have more people pay, like the daily rate this year.
Well, there's fewer
Um,
passes, so that would make
Yeah,
sense.
fewer passes. And there was a lot of cold days earlier on.
Right.
Rainy, and I think on those hot days, people stayed inside their houses.
Well,
Their
that's what I'm
conditioning, they didn't
curious.
even want to go outside.
The amount of swimmers didn't really increase a lot on those hot days because more people didn't really come out. I know people assume that we have severe hot days, that you would have more swimmers, but that's not the case. Is what my question was. That doesn't really come out that way. People don't want to come out to come
I
to the
mean,
pool.
yes, we do get more people.
Oh,
But it's not, I wouldn't say it's a significant
Okay.
number. We never meet the capacity of the pool.
We had one day on the weekend, towards the end of the summer, and we had almost 700 people over the course of the whole day, right?
Yeah, that's
Wasn't it
true.
like 650
Sure.
something?
Yeah.
That's like a
Yeah.
banner day, but I mean,
As a
it doesn't
whole.
even, it's not getting close to
Yeah.
the maximum amount that we can take.
Any other board members have a question? No? Okay. I guess I'm going to pass the one to you now, Brian.
Okay,
Let's
all
know
right.
what's going on. Park and grounds.
All right, thank you. Some current completed park facility projects. Update on Lions. The demolition is completed. Joler Demolition, their construction fence of the site came down today. We put up a temporary snow fence around some of the sections. If you've been by recently, there's a few piles of dirt there, and where the building was is about 2 foot recessed with compacted stone. So we fenced that off in the interim until the new construction fence will be installed for the new building. And that new fence is to be installed this Thursday by Federal Rent-A-Fence. So we also have a company, their name is Green Guard. They're doing some survey and layout stuff for us at the new Lions Park. Laying out for silt fencing, staking out the site, stake out the site, and then identifying the layout per all the plans for construction. So they'll identify like building corners and things like that to get everything kind of set up before everybody gets in. We're also working to get another large coming soon sign made for the site, similar to the one over at Lufkin, to show what's coming soon for the project and to identify everybody who's involved. So facility assessments. Last week we worked with Kluber, who's the company helping us do facility assessments. We provided them any blueprints and plans that we had as a village for various facilities. I honestly found more than I thought I would, being that we have some aging facilities, but we found a good amount of plans. They came out then last week, met with us on site. We worked with them to get what is an initial architectural review. So it's really just to walk through the buildings to confirm what exists, if it matches any plans that they might have, verifying layouts. Upcoming, they're going to be some engineers from their company will be coming out then they're going to open things up, go into the ceilings, go everywhere, and really go in depth and get some of that. They're also going to have, to do the full exterior, they're going to bring out some drones then to fly the exterior and like over the rooftops, just to kind of get an accurate picture. So that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks to kind of finalize that. As Gina and Sue mentioned, Jefferson Pool is closed for the season. We're working to shut everything down, make sure it's drained out, and we're working to identify any needed repairs or replacements that we may need before next season. We already have a few. We're probably going to look to replace all the chemistry controllers.
All right.
Probably a safe bet. We had some issues with the baby pool towards the end of the season, so we were lucky enough. The company we work with gave us a temporary controller that helped for a bit, but I think it's time to replace the controllers. They usually last between 5 and 10 years, and I think we've gone well beyond that. So we're also intending to budget for 2024 for a liner for Jefferson Pool. So it's something we put in before and it moved, and we're planning to put it back in. We will talk with the company about timing of that. We've been just kind of discussing whether it's a spring or a fall installation. Some of it depends on the availability of the company, and some of it is us in the village, and do we have time to get it in early, or do we wait until the fall? So at Village Hall, we're working with Acitelli Heating and Piping to replace the rooftop HVAC units for the upper level. Old units supplied just cooling to the upper level. New units will supply heating and cooling. The initial work, they came out, brought some things out today and got started. We expect it to be completed by about the end of this week. We're then going to look, so the upper level will then have forced heating and cooling. So we will then look to remove the radiators through the upper level so that we don't have, we've all been in the upper level. If you go into the COW room in the winter, it could be 95 degrees, it could be 65 degrees. So that should be much more consistent. We should have better temperatures with forced heating and cooling. So upcoming, with the construction fence that I mentioned going up at Lions this week, we're going to start removing the baseball material on field 1 and redistributing that to some other village fields. Franklin needs a bit more, High Ridge could use some, so we'll take that material and we'll reuse it through the other fields, as well as any other items that may still be there. I don't think we have much left in the site, but there may be a picnic table or something like that in there, so we'll make sure everything comes out. So that was all I had.
Brian, do you do anything with, excuse me, Lufkin Park, or is that pretty much Public Works?
Anything as far as?
Well, like today, they were out there dredging, kind of like lowering the pond. They have the stakes out there to keep the geese or the ducks away, is my understanding, but they were out this morning doing like a pumping. There were guys out there in waders. So are they trying to like drain it down? Do you know anything?
I think anything with that pond is still the county project. So
Okay.
The stakes and strings that you're referring to are their predator protection for the plants and things that they're using.
Right.
So the intent is that the strings and stuff are supposed to keep birds from landing in the water. And then there's like a fence, little short fence that goes around that's supposed to prevent animals from getting into the waters.
Okay.
Did you say there's 4 units that are going to be at Village Hall?
2
2 units.
Two
Okay.
units. There's one that supplies the boardroom and like the president's office, and there's one that supplies the COW.
Quite a few.
Yeah, I mean there's, I don't know, maybe.
Are you going to be able to remove them, or do we have to get somebody, a company to remove those radiators?
We're gonna figure that out with Acitelli while they're out. It could be that we might be able to cut them and cap them in-house, but it might be more involved than that. We might need some help from a contractor, so.
So that would be a project later on that we'll hear about getting done.
We're looking to get that completed before winter as well, so we don't share the radiant and forced heat. You know, obviously the forced heat will maintain with the thermostat, but the radiators are just on or off with that boiler, so we don't want to continue to overheat the rooms or anything, so.
Report being here, or?
Greg is out. I don't know that he had a report for updates, but he did give us some items for the business.
Okay. Who wants-
Brian's going to start with
Brian's gonna
business.
start with the, okay.
Gina gets to
Brian-
start with the staff updates all the time.
Yeah,
She
so-
said she'd let me start with the,
Oh, it's only fair.
yes, thanks. So the business update on Lufkin Park. So we received bids for the Lufkin Park project on September 1. We got 3 bids. We are currently in the process of reviewing the bids in an effort to reduce some of the costs and see if we are able to perform some of the work in-house. Kind of similar to the North Terrace project, where we did the pathway, we did some initial work on the playground, stuff like that. We went out and estimated the project about 2 years ago, and as things have changed in that time, some of the labor costs were higher than we expected in this bid. We're also reaching out to the lowest bidder and working with them to see if we can make some adjustments for the project. And then we are then looking to have this project on possibly the September 25th or the October 9th board agenda for approval to proceed.
You're going to go on to Lions?
Okay, yeah, I didn't know if there was anything for,
Any questions on that? Nope, okay.
okay.
Go ahead.
When you say lowest bidder, you mean lowest qualified bidder, correct?
Yes, yeah, we reviewed everything. It's the lowest qualified bidder. We're just discussing things with them now
Okay.
before we go to the board. So. Lions Rec Center. The bids for the new rec center have all been approved by the village board, so we're all set. We have submitted our application for the OSLAD grant for the other site amenities, outdoor site amenities, the playground, basketball court, senior area, etc. And did receive confirmation back from the DNR that they have received it. We're hopeful to hear back on the award of the grant, hopefully in January, as we normally would have in the past, like at our Park and Rec conferences. But with the previous grant that we received, the DNR was short-staffed, and we ended up getting a notification kind of towards early midsummer. So we'll continue to follow up with them like we did in the past and see if we can get something and make sure we relay that. Please save the date. I'm not getting married again, but save the date for the groundbreaking of the new building. The September 28th or 29th at 5 or 5:30 p.m. Our village manager, Harline, is currently talking with the village board to try to set that specific date and time, and then we will share that with everyone. So, but right now it's looking to be either September 28th or 29th at either 5 or 5:30. So, and then we're looking right now for construction to begin on the new building the first or second week of October.
What dates are the 28th or 29th? Thursday or Friday? Okay.
And Gina
Because
has,
the bids came in as well as they did for all the different aspects of the building, we now know that the track is a for sure. So that's very exciting.
And the building of thing, are they going all year, or are they going to have to stop?
What's
You
that?
said it's going to start October 1st or 2nd, and
Oh, the construction will start in early October. We just don't know if it will start the first week or the second week, but we estimate the first or second week it will begin. We don't estimate there'll be a stoppage and then starting again.
we
What
don't
about
have
winter?
estimated stop and start.
She's asking about winter.
Oh, if they stop over winter? No, the hope is to continue to work throughout.
Okay.
So yeah, if they have to stop
So
through
once they
winter, it
start-
puts a
once they
delay
start,
into the
it's gonna
project.
Continue going through.
Correct.
Okay.
So the other item with regard to the Lions Recreation Center is discussion on fees for membership, open gym, walking track. So what we did is we contacted, well, actually, we did a survey of area agencies that have facilities that will have some of the things that we have, some will have more than what we have, to just try to get an idea of how that would work out. So do you have one of these?
I do.
Want me to pass it
Yeah,
on?
would you just, sorry, I was gonna have you pass it, but there's
No,
no one
that's
to
all right.
pass it to.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brian.
Set here.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay.
Thank you.
You know, when he's passing it out, how do we determine these?
How do we what?
How do we determine your fitness easy passes, 10 pass? How do you determine the prices on these?
How did we determine
Yes,
them?
how did you determine the prices for these?
Well, what we would do is we took kind of what the cost was for the class for multiple weeks, and then we took it down and did it per visit, so you can come whenever you wanted. But we did not, I don't know, did we talk to other country troops about what they charge?
I don't know. That's old. That's before pandemic.
Yeah,
I still have one, as you can
we
tell.
probably
There's
did-
a lot of it, but
we
I just
probably
wondered
did.
how you determine these.
Yeah, we probably kind of did a combination of things, reaching out to other places in the area to kind of see what they did. Also offering a cut rate on if you got a 10 punch or a 20 punch or, you know, whatever we offered at that time.
you paid a little bit less if you bought more punches up front.
I just was curious how you made a determine on this, because that would have some idea on where we're going with this, because you made it decide for the fitness classes, you made a determination on what prices would be for the classes.
Right, but at this is kind of, it's so different than,
Well,
before,
I
because
know
we
this is
didn't.
new, but I'm
yeah.
just, I mean, it's not like we didn't have membership passes before, we did.
Right.
In some aspect.
That was specifically for group fitness classes.
Correct, but I understand that. But we didn't have a rec center at the time we were doing it. We
No.
just, now we're moving into another phase, but it's not like at Village Park didn't have passes before that. They were sort of type of membership passes at one time.
So
Okay.
this talks about membership fees to use the weight room, if you want to pay all at once, if you are just going to pay monthly and continue to pay monthly. There's a breakdown for family passes for 2 people in a household. We have rates for like youth and senior rates. Then we have a membership for the track only. If people just want to come in and use the track, that's going to be a lot less money than if they're using the fitness room with the weights. Then we have drop-in fees for, there's all-access drop-in, which would be, to walk on the track, to go to open gym. You could come in and pay that fee for the day, and then, you could use all of those things that we would accept drop-in rates for. And then specifically for open gym drop-in, which will be, different than being able to walk on the track and use the weight room and so forth. So when we had the, when they went through and they did the surveys, when we did the feasibility study, one of the parts of that was a budget that they put together. We went through the budget that they put together and found that there was places that we could save money, monies that it wasn't going to cost that much. We also found revenue that they weren't including. They didn't include any revenue from the recreation programs that would be there. When I was thinking about fees, many of the memberships for weight rooms are $200 and above for the year, and I wanted to stay just under $200, especially the first year to be really competitive. So we just have to decide, let me rephrase, as staff, we would like to hear what your thoughts are on fees, and what we would charge for. There was some discussion about, at the board level, about certain items being no charge. I know specifically there was a comment about open gym basketball, offering that at no charge because we don't have basketball outside. But we are tasked with making sure that we can bring in revenue to offset the cost of the building and operating the building. I'm not talking about the cost to build it, I'm talking the cost to operate it. So, we obviously would not be in favor of charging the same thing for just to walk on the track that you would for, using the weight room and so forth, but you could charge a small amount for the track and get a lot of people that would be interested, and that's a nice revenue stream. So, as staff, we take that part very seriously with looking at the cost recovery for the operation of the facility. So that's what our thoughts are. This is what other communities are doing. And, we want to make sure that we're sort of in the ballpark for the items that we have and the other communities have. And I would be in favor of starting out with incentives for people to come over and use, our new facility, our membership. So making that very attractive to people if they're working out someplace else, wanting them to come over. And then they come over to us and it's a brand new facility, they love it. If they're residents, they're putting money into something that is benefiting, their property, because, when you have good recreation programs, your property values increase. So this is a good snapshot of what other communities are doing. I think the only agency on this list that is not a park district is Glendale Heights. So something to keep in mind. Lombard, Glen Ellen, Wooddale, Oakbrook Terrace, Oakbrook, Addison, Elmhurst, Bensonville, Downers Grove, those are all park districts. They have a separate taxing body, which makes them different than Glendale Heights and Villa Park, as we are just, we're part of the village. So,
is there other things in this area that aren't park districts? I know you went in our area directly, but in Illinois, are there other things that would be village-owned that we could make a comparison? Because Park District has their own revenue. So for us to judge their budget compared to our budget
it's very different.
on stuff, do you know, are there more villages that would be in our same that you could reach out to find out?
That are just further away than?
Yes, further away, just to have some comparison.
Yeah, I know of a handful.
Comparisons, because I know you did this in a chart that's surrounding us, but I'm kind of curious if we reach out to other villages that have complexes like us, what they're charging.
This
just
is
so we
the-
can make more of a comparison. 'Cause
Sure, this is the same model we use for pool passes. We sort of use the same grouping when we come up with our fees for pool passes. So I lean towards using the same groups, close to the same groups that we use for pool passes that had indoor facilities similar to what we were going to be building. But if you would like me to look for other municipalities that have weight rooms and, you know, a full-size gym that, you know, is theirs and that they can, you know, do some of the same activities we're doing, I certainly can look for that as well. There's far more park districts in Illinois
Oh, I understand.
than there
I
are
was just kinda-
municipal recreation.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get something where we can compare apples to apples. So if we
Yeah.
could get some general idea of other municipalities that have the same thing, we would have a general idea of where,
Yeah,
I know we're gonna have to use the park districts, as we're unique in that quality that we're not a park, don't have a park district. But I would like to see if we could find, even if it's other states or whatever, other municipalities on what they would charge being under a village budget. So we have some
Sure,
idea
I could-
on,
off the top of my head, I know about Glendale Heights because we do some cooperative programming with them for basketball. I believe Schiller Park is a, if I'm not mistaken, I think Schiller Park is a municipal recreation agency that does have some membership-related facilities. Outside of that, nothing is popping into my head right now, so they're probably farther away.
so I kind of want to get a chart and a general thing that we've got apples to apples, because right now we're doing apples to oranges. It's kind of a different, park district is a different kind of a setting of where they get the funds than where we're going to, as you said, for revenue quality, for comparison on what we need for revenue to keep going compared to what the park district has their own budget. Just to have some general idea on other municipalities that are trying to do the same, on how their revenue,
Sure.
how they coordinated is, just if you could
We'll
do
pull that together, and
If you can pull that
I'm going to try to get
together.
that out, I'll try to get that out to you
Okay.
before our next meeting, so you can look at that
Look
as
at
well.
that, because that would give us a little more comparison to know that we're in the same boat on those things.
I don't want to go out of state, because once you go out of state, the way that they have things set up is different. Like, certain states have county-run recreation, and they don't have municipal or park
Okay.
districts. And also, you know, there's other differences
There
too,
are
you
other
know,
factors
EAVs
of
and
tax
things like
things.
that. And so I'll definitely look in Illinois, and I will, it has to be in a Chicago, the Chicago, you know, kind of metropolitan color counties. So I'll go through those and see if, because I don't even want, downstate's going to be, you know, very different as well.
Well, we could just get a general idea, though, what downstate has compared to just an overall type
Did you,
So
idea.
you have to keep it close because no one's gonna drive to like Kendall County from here to do it. So you have to look at what the competitive market is here. So it's not a budget versus, it's not, you're saying apples to apples. It's the same people. So a person that lives in Elmhurst may wanna come here versus going to Elmhurst Park District because it's cheaper or it's better or it's newer. We wouldn't look outside of even just these things here actually, because this is at driving distance. I mean, we talked about this a couple years ago about having a pool versus here versus Lombard versus Oak Brook. And anything outside of that was kind of too far for swim lessons or for like
I
a
just-
Saturday.
I'm looking for a comparison of how the village does things, how the funding things. I know when we do the
But funding
pricing,
is different than programming. You're talking about programming and saying funding and budgeting. These are two different things.
correct.
Yeah.
And it's a different aspect from a park district type thing on how their fundings work than how a village works.
But this is
So I
programming.
want to just, I want a comparison of how municipalities work that are similar, how they're working with having the program. The pricing is gonna have to be comparison. I realize that. I'm just looking for a comparison on how non-park districts handle the situation for their facility. Pricing's gonna have to be in this area, I realize that. We're gonna have to compare because we're gonna be competing with area, all the park districts and cities around, villages around here. So pricing has to be compared there. That's not what I'm looking for.
That's not gonna make a
Um,
difference.
I'm looking more of how, to get some idea of how non-park districts are handling their decision on fiscal things. So we can compare, like Schiller Park, how are they,
What are they charging for membership there?
right, some idea of what they're charging for membership. Other things that are not a park district, how they are doing it, so that we have some idea when we come back here that we're making some comparison for when we do the pricing. Because that would give us a better idea, rather than them having a separate budget, makes a totally different concept of how they finance things for their facilities than we do without that park district funding. And that's what I'm looking at, just the comparison.
And I think looking at municipalities in the collar counties would be, something valuable to look at and versus park districts. But I don't think getting out of this area, the collar county area, would be an apples to apples comparison, even if it was a municipality.
Okay.
I think we want to look at, if we want to look at municipalities versus park district in the collar counties, I think it's worth looking at to see how, what type of fees they're charging for the type of facilities they have. I have to tell you, though, it really all comes down to, I've been doing this a long time. It comes down to what's close enough that would be an easy decision for someone to make, to not go to their hometown, to go to another town. It's got to be close enough, and the fees have to be, not it's extraordinarily absorbent. For example, our non-resident fee has been a really fair, more than fair fee structure versus the way other agencies do it. Some agencies charge 50%. We're not anywhere. We charge $3 for a typical program, and that's not a membership. So, but at the same time, park districts as well as municipalities still have to be able to cover the costs of the operation of their facility. So, just like, we do. So we might charge a little bit less to make it comfortable for the people who live here to be able to be members and take a transfer from the general fund if necessary, but we want to cover the cost. We want to at least break even.
We also have to take into consideration things like the glass court, which is in the area, and other fitness businesses that we have in this area. We have, I know, 8 or 9 of them right in this area that do fitness. What do they charge for their membership? Is it, feasible for charging for our weight room, what the fee is compared to what they would do at these fitness clubs? Those are a lot of things that would have to be taken into consideration here too, besides just the Park District thing. There's a lot of other competition that we would have to look into whether the fees are feasible too for revenue.
So, but commercial fitness and the private industry has other funds available to them where they can charge $1 a month if they want to get people in the door, where we couldn't really do that. I mean, we couldn't charge $1 a month. It wouldn't, even for 3 months. I mean, we would take a very large hit for that. We don't have that.
Oh, I understand that, but I'm just saying, those are some of the things before we decide on the full chart of pricing. There's a lot of other factors involved here that we have to take into consideration to make the best decision on what the membership cost is and how we're going to give you a suggestion to structure it, is what I'm saying.
Very good.
Go ahead, Donna.
I have a question about how do we differentiate someone going to the weight room, someone going to the track? Why wouldn't we just have an overall members fee, resident, non-resident, whatever? How do we keep track of someone that says they only want to go to the one room and then they transfer to another? How do we keep up with it? Why wouldn't we just go a total structure of the weight room, whatever?
Because I think there'll be people that will want to just use the track and not lift weights, and I wouldn't want to eliminate their business.
So how do we,
It's an option of membership too, and how we secure
So,
the
but what I'm
facility.
saying is,
So
like, let's-
we might have door card readers,
that-
and somebody might get a card or a wristband.
Blue goes weight room, yellow goes with the track, and then.
that's what I was getting at, because if someone says, well, I only want to go to the weight room for my membership, they can
Yeah.
go to the weight room and turn around and walk on the track and do other things. So,
Yeah,
so
and
like,
we've talked about that, and we've also talked about having, scanner at the front with a bank of cameras, so we can monitor if we see that person going here, but, I know that gets cumbersome. when you
or
get a ton
could
of
they
people
have
in the
scan card readers on the outside of the,
room. Yes.
to enter the weight room and the,
That's a
Yeah, I
possibility.
think we're still trying to assess how we set fees and what we choose to do for the facility before we set something in
right? And
place.
I think the best economic decision is, can we have free days? Yeah, I think we can do like free introductory, because this is all new to Villa Park. This is up and coming. So I wouldn't have a problem with, like, do a Saturday or a Sunday or a weekend, hey, free introduction, come check us out, kind of an open house, let them look at the facilities. But just to have people with, just to have it free for the village, that's not good math. That's not good, and that's not a good economic decision.
My thought is anyone that would purchase a membership for the fitness center, the weight room, that membership is going to allow them to also walk on the track, also participate in open gym, when they're the correct age or what have you. So that membership that's going to be the most expensive, in my mind, would cover all of those things, the drop-in type things. And then, we could break it out of that, maybe a family has a couple of teenagers that want to be able to come to open gym, so they can have fees we would have fees just for that. There's going to be people that are just going to want to walk on the track, that will be a lot less money than the membership to use the fitness room, but it's still something that's coming in. And-
So we're thinking that either a wristband or card readers would be the best way to not have to add additional staff, which would cost additional money
Right.
to keep that on track.
And we'd want cameras throughout the building for security purposes anyway, so we would use those also then to help monitor, to make sure people are in the area that they have their membership included or their daily fee included.
Okay.
Are those cameras already in the budget, or is that gonna be an additional, okay, so. those
No,
cameras
it's
are-
already part of it.
It's not gonna be
Yeah,
an
they're-
additional
No,
thing we're gonna have with whatever we decide on the membership, or how we go with the membership.
yeah, security cameras is part of the building.
And those vendors will be looked at once the building is complete.
Pardon me?
The security vendors will be looked at towards the end of the completion of the building.
I'm not sure if we would wait that long. I think,
Like security cameras?
yeah.
Yeah, security, card readers.
Oh, yeah, no,
Would that be
do
con-
that earlier on.
Yeah.
Would that be part of the vendor that does like your fire alarms and stuff like that?
It would be a different company than fire alarms, but yeah, we would look at that early on. We already have a few areas that are gonna have like scan cards to access, so, you know, what do we do? Do we add those? Do we do something else? So,
So,
So I'll make a note to look at municipalities in the collar counties.
okay, and Gina, you mentioned the weight room fee as being maybe they could branch out. Were you looking more of making that like a sports type thing where they could use the track, the weight room, the basketball court, more a confined thing instead of just a weight room fee? Or are you talking a weight room by itself fee and then a different program that would have weight room, track, basketball?
I was thinking the membership, the annual membership, to be able to use the weight room would also include those other areas of the building. It's the most expensive, you know.
So
and so
annual
the-
membership would be more written out that full use of the building. type
Correct.
thing. Okay. And then
Again,
you
that's
would
just
have-
my thought,
Well, I'm just trying to fill out, and then you would have a separate thing that if you just want to do the weight room only, it would be just weight room type thing. Because I
If-
know some people just do the weight room for just training, and they wouldn't walk on the track, they wouldn't go to the basketball court, they're just there. for
Correct,
that
but I
activity.
think it's an attractive way to get people to buy a membership, to say,
Okay.
hey, if you want to, you're buying a membership to be able to, lift weights and do cardio and stuff like that, you can also use, X, Y, and Z. So anybody who bought an annual membership for the weight room would have access to those other areas. There's not going to be, in my mind, a weight room membership that, for the year, that's less money if they don't want to use the track or the gym.
Okay. I
That's
just didn't-
that's what I'm thinking.
I just didn't know what you were separating it for. If you were thinking, okay, you could just have a weight room membership, but we're promoting the annual membership because you could have full ability
Right.
of all the facilities, but if you just want the weight room, we would have a program just for the weight room type thing. Just like we would have just for the walking track if you just want the track type thing. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
I'm sorry, Cheryl, I thought you were finished.
I'm just looking, like, for instance, they did the Lombard Park District, continuous monthly, is $23 for the month and $276 for the full year resident. Can we do like a discount of like $10? So then you've already banked that money and you're not waiting for that continuous.
We can do anything.
I
mean, it
Is
would
that a
be-
suggestion? Just kind of like if you sign up, like the family pack worked out better for some people this summer for the pool. Maybe we bring it down $10 as an incentive for them to buy, or even $20, whatever it is, because then that money is banked and it's
Yeah.
there and you're not.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that we can package things, and I think, I really feel that we will package things differently when we first open than when we're going, and after we're open for a while, and we're.
Yeah, because like right now, Lombard is doing, 23, and you times that times 12 is 276. But if you said, hey, if you sign up for the year, we'll give it to you for 256, that might be incentive, and then that money's already accounted for.
Yeah. Yeah,
So you're thinking of having different membership, like tiers?
Having different memberships, I'm sorry.
Tiers?
Tiers.
Oh, tiers? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean,
That's what
you know,
you-
that's kind of the way I feel like we laid it out, that, you know, there could be people that just want, you know, a specific area or want to not necessarily have it for the whole year. I thought, you know, we could see about possibly just doing a half year, you know, so people aren't putting out as much money all at once. Or, you know, a single month that you could, like, if you wanted to try it, it's going to cost you more than if you had a continuous month. So yes, there are multiple options, which to me it is very similar to multiple tiers. Anybody else?
When do we have to make a decision on pricing?
I'm sorry, it's
That fan is hard to hear over.
when do we need to make a decision? Well, the board will make the ultimate decision.
Yeah, yeah.
So, we'll want to start promoting this a couple months, several months ahead of when we open.
Okay.
So, we're thinking, I heard last night, the village manager said anywhere between October or November and January of,
November being optimistic, and then January of 2025.
yeah,
That's the year.
yeah. So I'd want to at least
End of next
be
year.
doing this at a minimum, ideally 3 months before we open the doors.
Sorry, end of summer of next
Yeah.
year. Got it.
So technically, we could have this decision made for you next month's meeting, October?
But we would, I think the Board of Trustees would really like to hear from the Park and Rec Commission on what their thoughts are in terms of, you know, moving forward with memberships and fees. And, you know, it's new for the Board of Trustees as well, so whatever recommendation comes from the commission, then they
I think
will have
That's what I
to,
meant.
you know, discuss it as well.
A recommendation.
Yeah.
I personally would like to savor this and look over the material you gave me and kind of look into things of what we have before I make a recommendation.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, you don't need to, I mean, it doesn't have to be done in a month, you know.
So that's
I just
why-
want to be able to give the Board of Trustees enough time if, you know, they're going to need more than a month too. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to that timeline as well. I'm sure they'll want to do a lot of their own investigation, you know, so.
With us being a advisory board, at what point does our village manager come in and say, you need X amount of dollars, and this is, you know, the costs, and, you know, we have to have X amount of dollars to be functional or break even without constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul for this. I mean, we can go in and someone could say, well, we want this whole thing free, or we want this to go to referendum. Does Matt have a threshold of what we have to have as a baseline to be functional?
Well, part of the feasibility study revealed that most new facilities like this take multiple years to get to a point where they can break even. So there's you know, we have to decide, you know, do we want that to be 2 years? Do we want it to be 3 years? I think 5 years is more realistic, just like most businesses,
You gotta
know.
grow.
So I don't know that the village manager will say we have to do X in order to be able to move forward. I think, you know, they're relying on the professionals that are familiar with this industry to make recommendations and then, come up with good marketing strategies to get people in and get people interested to buy memberships. I mean, this is not something that,
I mean, we just
No
can't
other-
walk into this and say, hey, Villa Park, here's your recreation center. Oh, by the way, it's free. Well,
no, and
That-
nobody's
that's-
saying that.
no, but I'm just saying, at some point, we have to say, we need 500,000 and the rest we can pull from the general fund and this budget and whatever. That's the threshold I was looking at to get from the village manager.
Yeah, so it's not that, I don't think they're not going to talk a dollar amount, they're going to talk about cost recovery. So it's going to be based on how much we're spending to operate it. And then then we have to make sure that we are coming up with membership prices that people
Cover your
are willing
operational
to.
costs.
Yeah, that are people that are willing to pay. And that is covering, those costs, and your cost recovery is moving in the right direction, as every year goes by. This is not something that,
No, it's not
We're-
set in stone, it's just a concept.
no, and we're not recreating the wheel here. There's a lot of other places that do this and, do it well, so there's no reason why we can't.
Right.
If there are no more questions from the commission, we could move on to public comments, because I think we have a couple on non-agenda items.
On agenda, so this is trustee Cordova, right here, sworn. I'm okay, just.
Can you get me that local scoring mics? Yeah. Thank you. Not a problem.
Good to be on TV 2 nights in a row.
Old hot seat. All right, this is trustee Cordova. A couple things. So what we're asking is for staff to come up with a recommendation. It's almost like a business plan for that building. What kind of programming can we do? And this is non-program programming. So minus. Hang on, I have my note. So programming minus programming. So the hard cost of going to the weight room, using the walking track, using not even a class, but just getting in the building, right? How much is that going to cost? And then the second piece is going to be, what can we program in this building? Can we have basketball it's Saturday afternoon, volleyball Saturday evening, whatever it is, and then having that plan come back and say, how much are you going to charge for some of these things? And then what we're looking to do is have like an economy of scales, right? Year one, we have this much programming. Year two, we can't program anymore. Can we add a couple dollars to what it costs? And then we can kind of see how that 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan goes. And then that's the ask. I think this is what Greg may have said, like we're looking for that. The second piece that we're looking for is the sponsorship. Number one, the sponsorship of the actual building. What can we have sponsored versus naming rights? Well, number one, what is a sponsorship versus naming right? Because those are two different things. And then the second piece is, what can we actually get sponsored? Is it a hallway? Is it a room? Is it a wing? Is it the entire thing? Is it exclusive to one sponsorship or naming right, whatever it would be? And then the second piece of that is, how can we also, or are there other competitors? Because we had, I can't remember their name, the gentleman from High Level,
Promotions.
yes. High Level Promotions, they were great, but that's the only people we heard from, and they want 70%, or they'll take 30% of whatever the revenue is. We don't know if that's a good number or not. We don't know if that's high, we don't know if that's low, we don't know if that's competitive. So we've tasked Greg and staff to go out and get more bids, or at least get a landscape of what that partnership looks like. And then what we could do from there is say, all right, great, year 1 through 3, we're gonna have a partnership from X company, and they're gonna give us X amount of dollars, and then we take that sponsorship, we take the programming minus the classes and everything, and then we have the classes, and then that gives us our base number of what we can get every single year, and then we kind of build out from there. So if we're gonna end up hitting a ceiling of we're maxed out in programming, we have no more space, and we have no more opportunities for sponsorship. So then that's our number, right? Then we're done growing, that's it. So most of the time for park districts and even municipalities, that ends up being 5-10 years. And then you can in-house things, right? Because right now I think we outsource all-star basketball, a couple of programs, soccer maybe. I'm not sure. I can't remember everything.
Yeah,
There's a soccer.
There's a soccer club.
Yeah. Can we insource that? Can we keep some of that budget, type thing? So there's a lot that we're asking, and I know that we have about a year and a half before we open. So the appetite here is to understand what our base level of opportunity is, and then from there say, okay, here's what our opportunity is, this is how much we can make from it, and then we come back and say, that's a great idea, or whatever it is. So I think the way it's gonna work and the process that I envision as a liaison, but then also as a trustee and hearing the other ones, and I have to kind of, level set a lot of the expectations there sometimes, is staff's gonna come up with some pricing, staff's gonna come up with the programming, you guys say, that's great, is there other opportunities like you have today? And then you go back, look, nope, this is the package. Then we come back to us and say, all right, great, what does that business plan look like? And then we go. And then we open, we cut the ribbon and all that stuff.
So one of the things that, I watched all of the board meeting last night, as I do most of them. And a couple of the trustees wanted to know what different rooms we had inside the building and what classes we were going to hold.
It's gonna be
So we started, we have all the rooms broken out and the different classes that we could hold in each of those rooms as it related to the naming rights or sponsorships. Is that worthwhile, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in my head, the second floor, we have those two rooms, those two multi-purpose rooms. Is that going to be, there's two, right?
The multi-purpose room on the first floor that the seniors will be their home, and then we'll do other programming in
Yeah.
it. There's two.
There's two.
Yeah.
So
Or
that's
it
what I'm
could be
thinking.
one.
Yeah. Is that going to be like, X brand or X company, sponsored senior room, or is that just going to be covered in a huge sponsorship thing, So
The question is really like how much of the building can be sponsored or named?
that's what we don't know.
I mean, like their thing before was like they've put stuff in urinals. Like,
Yes.
So I mean, you
But-
could
and that
do
was-
a urinal, or
yeah.
you could do a bathroom, or you could just do the building.
And
So I
that's the
think
funny thing is I think a comment was we don't want it to look like a NASCAR car or
Yeah.
NASCAR truck with all the stickers everywhere. So I think the output for what we're asking is going to be, it doesn't make sense to get down to the urinals and things like that. Maybe not even the bathroom, right? But is it, here's the west wing or, that one hallway with the classrooms. Is that the blah, blah, blah sponsored
Yes, I
wing?
understand.
And then we get, $500,000 for that for 3 years? I'm not sure. But then, like this room, does this get sponsored, or does this whole wing get sponsored?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the big piece. We don't know, and in that presentation, they didn't really tell us, right? They were just like, we have some opportunities. What we do is we look at what you guys have, what the community has, and we try to pair them up with a brand or a company. And
It sounded to me like, the sky was the limit. And
Yeah,
that we would
and-
have final say, we meaning the village board,
Yeah.
would have final say with whether we wanted those particular sponsor dollars or not. Did we
Right.
want to be connected to
Whatever
business
brand,
X or
yeah.
business Y or not? I'm sorry, Donnie, you had a question.
One thing that Upland did say, they said, hey, if you only want 4 sponsors, we'll look for 4 sponsors. If you want 14 sponsors, we'll seek 14 sponsors. So we're in control of how many vendors we have. So like you said, it doesn't look like NASCAR.
Yeah. And the thing is, if one company comes in and says, we want to give you however much you want, we have to kind of know what we want, right? If it's $100, let's just say easy peasy number. We're looking for $100. Do we get 2 people to give us 50? Do we get 10 to give us 10? Or do we get 1 to give us 100, right? So I think that's the other piece of that is we kind of need to know what the opportunity for sponsorship is or for paid partnerships are, and then go backwards and say, is that going to be enough? What is our number that we're looking for in that threshold? And I know that's kind of new in the last few months that these guys came out.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to be pretty important to go back to the board with. Go ahead, Brian. Oh, I thought you were gonna say something.
I thought you were going to say something.
I had something, but
Okay.
I lost it.
Lost it?
I'll get it back.
And then other than that, that's all I have. That's it.
My struggle with it is, what is a fair dollar amount? Is it 30,000 or is it $100,000 a year? What is everyone else out there getting?
Some of them don't have anything. Like,
But I'm just saying, it's kind of a new concept. I think the concept is great, but, we need to know, is 30,000 a good deal? Or, is $30,000 even worth putting their name on something?
yeah.
One thing that you alluded to last night's meeting was an out clause. If this vendor is not participating, and I mentioned this at the last meeting, let's say we get a Coke machine, and they're not making deliveries, and they're not maintaining their equipment, do we have any out clauses if these vendors aren't behaving properly? Or doing what we anticipated?
Yeah, so that was a question I asked yesterday, and the answer was yes. It's a complete out clause without any kind of anything. They're going back and checking to see if we talk to company A or company A comes to us, and then does that immediately go to the vendor? And the answer, we don't know. I would say probably not, because just shouldn't.
Yeah,
but-
and I struggle with the concept of sponsorship versus naming rights, because if it says Pepsi-Cola Recreation Center of Villa Park, I think people are going to lose their minds because their tax dollars, it should be Villa Park Recreation Center, sponsored by Pepsi.
Sure.
I think we would have that.
Yeah, we get the
final
pick.
say.
But that's what
But
I'm
that-
saying.
That's where the
that's-
sponsorship, I think my understanding anyways, is that those come in. I don't know that we
They're
would
like
say,
bids.
we have to have $30,000 to name the building. We would just say, we are open to someone naming the facility or applying their name to our facility. And
Right.
they would go out and get that and say, okay, I have X, Y, and Z who are willing to do that, but X will only do it if they can do this, Y will do this, and Z will do this. What would you like to
Yeah.
do?
The other piece that we have to kind of keep in mind is just because this opportunity is here doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? I think it was 3 or 4 years ago-ish, we tried to get, or we put that scoreboard up at Twin Lakes at the baseball park. We asked 3 very prominent businesses in town to give us $4,500 to get us to get it up, and they said no. So this was full naming rights of, you have your big logo on there, we'll even put a little placard on there, and that's your baseball field, and they said no. So just because we have this opportunity doesn't mean it's going to come to fruition. So that's just
Correct.
something to kind of think about. I'm positive. I'm very positive because it is something that I think more park districts are moving towards. Park districts and villages in general. But at the end of the day, this may not come through. So I think one of the things again is looking at what can be sponsored outside of the largest building, and then coming back and saying, do we have an appetite for having 10 people, 10 different companies give us X amount of dollars? We didn't know what that X amount of dollars is. So,
I do have a colleague that does consulting, and I was, picking her brain a little bit, and she said, public recreation, park districts, municipalities, this is not something that's easy for those agencies to go out and do on their own. It really is a lot more successful when a vendor, similar to high-level promotions, because they know the ins and the outs, they know how to contact people, they can contact people, like products that are nationwide, like Coke, like Pepsi, like McDonald's, all of those types of businesses, and they know that's what they do,
Yeah.
so that's what they know. So it would be great if we could find a couple other vendors or businesses that do work like that and kind of compare, each of them to see who gives the,
yeah.
the best.
The other disadvantage for us being a village is as a park district, I think some park districts, a lot of park districts have a foundation, like a 501c3 that is connected to them, and they kind of funnel budgets and they have events that go to that 501, and brands like to donate to those because it counts as a tax write-off, right?
Yep.
So that's just something that we'll have to kind of navigate as well. I don't know if we can do that as a village. I've actually never asked. I'll ask.
We had a
Manager Harlan.
foundation right around the time before we had put the skate park in.
Okay.
But that
I
was
don't-
for the skate park, right?
I thought it was just the
The skate
foundation.
park was a donation to that foundation and not to the Village of Villa Park.
Well, the
That's
skate
both a
park,
question. I don't know.
we got the grant for the skate park. I don't know that the foundation ever, I'm not sure if the foundation produced money for it.
Yeah, all right.
And I don't know what happened to it, if it went away.
I believe it was set for the skate park that.
But they
it
were a
was-
501c3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
so
for
that's-
the skate park and it wasn't for the village. But that question has been brought up several times to the different village managers if we could make it through the village, and I've never gotten a clear answer for that.
Yeah, it might be another
Because
question to ask.
Because the pool was one of those issues that we had brought up several times, if we could make a foundation for the pool for people to, you know.
Yeah,
if
but
they
they'll-
wanted donations or whatever for the building of a new pool or whatever it
Yeah.
was. And I know there's different other things that have been brought up to use it, but we haven't got one set up. So I don't know if our village can do it or.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
That's kind of like a question, again, I never got an answer. I know I brought that up several times when I was a trustee on could we do that, and never got a clear cut answer. The other thing is, and this is just bouncing off you, Gina, that when we get sponsorship, would that have effect on the bottom line of membership fees being less, or are we gonna do it as a separate thing? That if we do get a sponsor, this is going to finance the maintenance and what are the building type of budget? Have you thought that way? And then the membership is doing something for revenue.
I did think about that, if we had a couple of, sponsors that came in with big dollars, what would that mean? And I suspect it's not going to reduce costs for people to participate.
Because, mean,
I think if the
Not to
village,
say you haven't been in your job a long time, but I mean.
No, I
mean, we've had sponsors on other things come across on small amounts that businesses said they're gonna sponsor an activity and you've gotten funds for that way compared to, membership, people paying for that program. And I didn't know if you had thought in that line, the same thing further down the line on how you were gonna maneuver that type of, you and Greg had talked about maneuvering that type of concept on sponsorship. Whether somebody sponsors, an activity like they're doing now or not, or,
yeah, I'm not positive, but,
And we're going off topic.
go ahead.
That's okay, it's just we're going off public comments. I did have one comment that I would like to make with respect to the public comments. I'd like to take it back, if we can, just briefly to Jorge's commentary of what the board is asking of our commission. It sounded to me like it is comprised of multiple components, and I think in an effort to effectively formulate and communicate all of the detail that the board is requesting from us, it would be beneficial to potentially put together a high-level project plan that would summarize each of the items that they're asking of us, and perhaps put a target timeline to them of when we think we can get information into each of those topics. And then at the end, summarize all of those components and put that into a format that we can submit to the board. Because there's a lot of detail associated with it, and if we just try to attack it from a variety of perspectives, I'm concerned that we may miss certain components, but if we have it documented somewhere what those components are and when we're hoping to get the information into them, and then we can put the whole thing together, we'll have a mini project plan to present to the board with what they're asking for us.
last night I heard some people wanted it at the next meeting, then I heard, what about a month?
That's not good, no. That's not-
Depending on what the topic was. So I'm unclear as to what the timeline.
So I can tell you, October 25th October 23rd is that second meeting in October. We were looking to get the competitive landscape for the paid partnerships or for the sponsorships. Somebody wanted it at the end of the week this week, and I said, what do you guys do? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
so
that's, no.
that October, that second, or that last, 23rd, that's when we're looking to get that competitive landscape of the partnerships and sponsorship guys. So in that meeting, they gave us 2 of their competitors. I think our due diligence is to maybe look at those 2. He said one won't touch anything outside of 10 million, and the other one is not competitive or whatever. So that may be a pretty easy kind of task to do. And then the second piece of that would be to go maybe find a 4th one. You know, make Google search and send an email and see what that pricing looks like, just to have, you know, just an idea of what's out there.
So, but weren't they also asking for the commission to make a recommendation on how to move forward with the naming rights versus sponsorship?
Yeah. So the second part of that is understanding what can be sponsored, just saying what can be sponsored, what we do, what that looks like, and then going back and saying, all right, there's 5 sponsorship opportunities in this building, you know, or a park, or a basketball court, whatever it would be, those are the opportunities. And then we can say, all right, we have 5, 6, whatever number it is, opportunities or things that we can go through, and then we can back into going back to one of these 3, 4 sponsorship companies and say, we're coming back to you with 5 or 6 different opportunities. What does that look like? And then the third piece, which is going to be a little bit of a longer thing, is to understand what the programming is going to look like, minus you know, classes. And then saying, all right, we have, in a day, we have 45 opportunities to have a class or a program in the building. What do those look like? What kind? I don't think we're asking for an actual program list for you guys to program in a building that doesn't exist, but to have a good idea as to what those opportunities are. And I think it's pretty straightforward, right? We have 2 basketball courts, which means 4.
No, we have one that you can break down into 2. Okay.
It's 2. You have 2 basketball courts, 2 full courts.
Really?
I believe so.
No, it's one.
I heard that it was
We wanted
one
a
basketball
third
court.
one. The walking track goes around 2 basketball courts.
It's 1 full court, 2
And then-
half courts.
Yes.
Yes.
There's gonna be 6 hoops in there.
Correct.
I thought we were only going to have 4.
6 hoops.
Oh, we are, okay.
There's
I'm
6.
confusing it with volleyball, sorry. I wanted 3 volleyball courts.
2 at each end. and
One
then
1
4
court
on the
will
2
run
sides.
north-south, and 2 courts will run east-west.
Yes, you
Right.
could run 2 basketball games at the same time.
Correct.
We tried to get 3, but that was too expensive.
Yeah, the 2 east-west, though, are not the same size as the
No,
north-south.
there's
It's not a
like
full
three-
size.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
Okay, so that's, you know, is that 4 different things going on? Is that 4 different basketball teams that are practicing? You know, is that 4, you know, games on a Saturday? Or is that 2, you know, things like that?
Yeah.
You know, so you'll know you have a G, you'll have that, you'll have a weight room. Do we have personal trainers? Do we have an idea as how many, like, fitness rooms we're gonna have, how much, you know, those things? I just have a very high level. I'm not asking, and we're not asking for, like, what's gonna happen at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon. It's, we have the opportunity to have X amount of classes a day, and then you say, okay, great. You know, can we get to 50% capacity in year 1? Maybe, I don't know, you know? So those are those questions that I think we are looking for. At least that's what I've been able to distill from all the noise.
Jorge, can I ask, did the board actually formally set up a request?
So that's why I'm.
Or are
yeah.
these just things, because, I mean, if they're asking for us to give recommendations, we need to know what they're really asking.
So I
What
think-
are they asking us as a commission to assist Park and Rec to get? Are they asking for a layout of how each one of the rooms is gonna be used? Are they asking what, you know, what the sponsorship, you're saying the sponsorship, if they come in, are they asking us to make a determination of what items are gonna, of what rooms are gonna be sponsored?
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I think I can
from
answer.
listening to it, it was a very general type thing that a lot of things were being thrown out.
Yeah.
But there was not really a game plan that they set up for what they are asking
Yeah,
us.
so I think I did a pretty good job of summarizing what they've been asking. So the three things, right? Sponsorship opportunity, high-level programming, and I think that's the three things. Instead of saying all the things they've been asking for the last 3 months, 4 months, whatever it's been, I'm here to say, these are the three things that we should actually have. And then I can go back and say, hey, these are the things they gave us. So they're gonna come up with everything, they're gonna bounce it off you guys and say, that's great, we love it. They're gonna send it over, Greg's gonna come, he's gonna pitch it through, and then I'm gonna say, this is great, work through it for the last however long that's gonna be. The one thing we don't have is our deadlines, so that's gonna be something that I'm asking that you all can say, this is gonna take us 3 months to do, or 2 months, or 5 months, whatever that number is. I don't know what that number is, Gina, but once you find it out, because you'll say, there's X amount of things we need to do, and then, you know, basically work your way backwards from there and say, we'll have this to you in X amount of time. And then our next meeting, I can say, they said they'll give this to us by the end of the year, or whatever, it would be January 1st. And then say, okay, cool, January 1st, you got it, we're good, hit a timeline, we're done.
Okay.
My understanding of last night's meeting also was, being that this was only for discussion only tonight,
Yes.
that we cannot,
No vote.
no vote recommendation, so, right, okay, I just want to make sure everyone was clear on that.
Yep, this is the discussion.
Yeah, I think there's still some missing pieces of this puzzle in motion that, at this point, we can't do it,
That's
right,
why I'm asking Gina and her 30-plus years of
right.
wonderful service here at Village Park to come back to us and give her expertise in the industry and tell us what's what.
So we have a few months.
Could I ask that somewhere on the board or somebody write those three things that you just said and send it formally as a memo to Greg so that we know what we're working on?
Sure, I can do that.
Thank you. Any other non-agenda comments tonight? Start with you. Donna.
I
Any
have
commissioner
nothing,
report?
no, just happy to be here.
A couple things. First and foremost, thank you for this pricing comparison of all of these different locations. I think that's absolutely instrumental to not only our decision-making process, but to help everyone understand what we went through or what you went through to put all this together, and that we have looked at all of these different locations. So I think this will be a valuable tool, and it will continue to grow as we discussed tonight when we add more information to it. And I'm hoping that perhaps it'll be accessible to the residents. And I think they need to know. They need to know what went into this, and that the numbers that we're going to formalize will be based on a comparison of all of these different areas. So thank you very much for that. And I have one other question. Do we have clarification on the logic and reasoning behind why we changed the title of Agenda Item 4 from approval of the minutes to consent agenda?
No, and I did ask, the people that were putting the agendas together, so I don't know that it's just how it was.
We are using a
Yes.
different
Yes.
Software?
software.
And that direction came from where?
The software?
No, the direction to change the title of that. Did that come from
They
the village
changed
manager's
it.
office?
The village manager changed it, and when I pointed it out, there was no answer as to why it was changed or anything, so.
Okay, thank you.
I can make I believe that all the minute approvals in the during Board of Trustees meetings happen during the consent agenda. So I think, in my mind,
Doesn't make sense.
pardon me?
That doesn't make sense to me, that title.
So.
Are you saying it should be like
It's
consent
unclear.
agenda item A should be
Item A is
approval of minutes?
Approval of
So-
the minutes, and then I believe B
The bills.
The bill.
Yeah,
The
so,
bills.
so this is just missing a sub of which would be approval of.
Minutes.
Okay,
And then,
that would be helpful, thank you.
Can you add that? Because I heard if you have an A, you can't have, you have to have a B. So what would the, yeah.
That's all I have, thank you.
Yolanda's on it.
Yeah, because that's too,
That doesn't make, yeah.
ours are minutes, not agenda items, so.
Okay, Michael.
Michael?
Just glad we're getting closer to this building. That's all.
I want to thank you for also handing this, and heading us in the right direction so that we can make a logical decision as we continue on. I want to thank Jorge for, I believe you're our liaison, right?
Yep.
Okay, for bringing in that information for us so that we know where we're heading and what the board is asking of us. We appreciate that so we can better get our, coordinate what they want and be the best way we can advise them of what we feel moving forward for them. Thank you. As a whole.
Thank you to our new resident for attending.
Huh?
Thank you to our new resident.
Resident for attending, yes. I don't know what your
Welcome.
name is. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Ryan Pazar.
Hello.
Thank you for coming, Ryan.
Yeah.
Please come join us again. We love having
Absolutely,
residents
yeah.
come in.
Yeah.
We also have an open commission seat. if
Yes, I
you're
was going to say
Yeah.
that.
Good
If
point.
you'd like to
That's a
come
lot,
and be
you
a
guys. It's
commissioner.
my first.
Welcome to Villa Park.
Welcome to Village Park.
Yeah.
Any chairman comments that Gina have?
Well, you're the chairman.
Like, I have no comment tonight. I'm not chairman.
Well, staff.
Sarah is. I'm just filling in.
No, I'll just work on trying to find municipalities that, have similar facilities and get that information out to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
You were quiet, Sue.
I like to be quiet.
Okay.
I
I was
invited,
just going to give you an opportunity if you had some comment to make, seeing you are here.
No, but
And
I
our
appreciate,
staff.
I appreciate all your efforts to
Okay.
support us. Thank you.
I just would like to tell you, I asked Sue to join me tonight at this meeting because she spearheaded this project with, a couple other people. And so in case there was a question that you had that I didn't know how to answer, I would rather be able to give you an answer than make you wait for it, so.
We might request you to come back next meeting after we,
Maybe.
I accept this and any comments on,
Maybe sometime in the future.
I'm more,
In the
I am
future?
interested in all this stuff, so
Yeah.
I probably will come again, yes.
Good.
in the future, we might want your input. Brian?
I have no comments, thank you.
Okay. If there is no other business that we need to discuss, anyone want to?
Make a
for
motion.
adjournment? Make a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Thank you, Michael.
50.
We are adjourned at, what?
It's
All in
8:50.
favor, say aye.
All in favor, say aye, sorry. Missed that part. At, what is it?
8:50.
It's 8:50. That's,
8:50, let's just go with 8:50.
according to the Verizon Wireless Network.
Horizon where? Okay.